October 23, 1943, 16:30 hours. Anzio beachhead, Italy. Obergefreiter Klaus Müller crouched in the muddy foxhole overlooking the Mediterranean, carefully dividing his daily cigarette allocation between morning coffee and evening solitude. 6 cigarettes. That was the Wehrmacht's generous daily ration for frontline soldiers, a luxury that many German civilians hadn't enjoyed since 1941. Yet even this modest comfort represented a supply chain miracle that German logistics struggled to maintain as Allied bombing systematically destroyed transportation networks across occupied Europe. Müller's unit, the 3rd Battalion of the 29th Panzer Grenadier Regiment, had been defending the Anzio perimeter for 3 weeks, watching American forces accumulate supplies with mathematical precision that defied German understanding of military logistics. Through his Zeiss binoculars, Müller observed American soldiers distributing rations with casual abundance that suggested resources beyond German comprehension. Each American soldier appeared to receive individual packages containing quantities of food that exceeded German squad allocations. The contrast became personal when Müller examined captured American equipment following a successful night raid on enemy positions. Technical Sergeant Robert Chen's abandoned rucksack contained K-ration packages that revealed systematic abundance German forces couldn't achieve under any circumstances. Each individual meal contained genuine chocolate, actual chocolate made with real cocoa and sugar, alongside coffee, cigarettes, candy, and meat portions that exceeded German officer rations in both quality and quantity. Follow our channel for more incredible stories that reveal how industrial capacity and systematic planning determined the outcome of World War II more decisively than battlefield tactics or individual heroism. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber, Müller's company commander and a veteran of the Russian front, studied American ration documentation with growing dismay that extended beyond tactical concerns to strategic implications. American soldiers received 4,000 calories daily through systematically planned meals that maintained nutrition and morale simultaneously. German rations had been reduced to 2,800 calories when supplies permitted, with ersatz ingredients replacing genuine food whenever shortages demanded substitution. The intelligence value of captured American supplies extended beyond individual comfort to reveal production capacity that rendered German resistance mathematically futile. Chocolate production alone indicated industrial abundance that American forces enjoyed while maintaining civilian consumption levels that exceeded German peacetime standards. German confectioners had replaced cocoa with substitute ingredients since 1940, yet American soldiers received genuine chocolate as routine ration component. Lieutenant Hans Richter, the battalion's supply officer, calculated consumption rates that challenged fundamental German assumptions about enemy logistics capabilities. American chocolate distribution required cocoa imports, sugar allocation, dairy products, and manufacturing capacity that exceeded total German confection production for civilian and military consumption combined. Individual American soldiers consumed luxury items in quantities that German generals couldn't obtain through special requisition procedures. The systematic nature of American abundance became apparent through examination of mass-produced ration packaging that demonstrated industrial efficiency applied to military feeding. Standardized portions, sealed containers, and systematic variety indicated production methods that treated soldier nutrition as engineering problem rather than logistical challenge. Quality control standards exceeded German peacetime commercial food production despite wartime manufacturing conditions. Technical analysis revealed American ration development that prioritized soldier welfare through scientific research rather than resource conservation through administrative rationing. Nutritional balance, caloric content, and palatability reflected systematic study of human needs under combat conditions. German rations emphasized survival minimums. American rations optimized performance through abundance that enabled sustained operations regardless of supply line disruption. The psychological impact on German soldiers intensified as they realized American material superiority extended beyond weapons and equipment to basic human needs that democratic society prioritized for its military personnel. Every American soldier received treatment that exceeded German officer privileges, suggesting systematic advantages that totalitarian efficiency couldn't match through organizational methods alone. Personal letters home began reflecting transformed understanding of enemy capabilities that extended beyond military assessment to societal comparison. How could Mueller describe American chocolate availability to a sister who worked 12-hour shifts in armaments factories while subsisting on ersatz coffee and rationed bread? How could German soldiers explain enemy abundance without undermining home front morale that sustained continued resistance? But the most devastating revelation awaited discovery through direct combat encounters with American forces, where systematic abundance would prove more demoralizing than battlefield defeats. October 25, 1943. 07:15 hours. Cisterna Sector, Anzio. The dawn assault against American positions revealed the tactical implications of systematic abundance that extended far beyond individual comfort to operational effectiveness. Muller's company advanced through olive groves against enemy forces, whose equipment, supplies, and morale reflected industrial capacity that transformed warfare from resource management challenge into mathematical certainty of superior firepower and logistics support. American defensive positions demonstrated construction methods that emphasized soldier welfare alongside tactical effectiveness. Foxholes were reinforced with engineering materials rather than improvised protection. Communication trenches included wooden planking instead of muddy excavations, and shelter areas featured waterproofing that kept personnel dry during Mediterranean winter rains. German positions relied on individual initiative and salvaged materials to achieve basic protection against elements and enemy fire. The chocolate discovery reached crisis proportions when German soldiers realized that American ration abundance extended to frontline combat conditions rather than rear-area administrative convenience. Staff Sergeant Tony Kowalski, defending a machine gun position with casual competence that reflected abundant training and equipment, shared his de-rationed chocolate bar with wounded German prisoners in a gesture that revealed systematic humanitarian advantages of abundant society over resource-constrained military organization. Technical Sergeant Maria Rodriguez, coordinating artillery support from forward observation posts, demonstrated communication equipment that exceeded German signal capabilities through industrial production rather than technological innovation. American radios operated with crystal clarity across extended ranges, while German communications suffered from component shortages that reduced reliability and range. Systematic abundance enabled tactical coordination that German forces couldn't achieve despite superior individual training and experience. The psychological warfare implications became apparent when American loudspeaker teams broadcast information about ration quality and availability that demoralized German forces through simple truth rather than propaganda exaggeration. Descriptions of American soldier nutrition, recreational facilities, and mail service from home contrasted devastatingly with German military conditions that had deteriorated steadily since Stalingrad, regardless of individual courage or tactical competence. Combat effectiveness reflected systematic advantages that extended beyond individual soldier capability to unit performance that abundant supply enabled. American forces conducted prolonged operations without ammunition rationing, maintained communication equipment without replacement part shortages, and operated vehicles without fuel conservation measures that constrained German tactical flexibility. Abundance translated directly into operational tempo that exhausted German forces regardless of tactical skill differences. The medical implications revealed humanitarian advantages that democratic society provided its military personnel through systematic resource allocation rather than emergency measures. American medics treated wounded German prisoners with medical supplies that exceeded German military hospital availability. Plasma, morphine, antiseptics, and surgical equipment reflected pharmaceutical production that maintained peacetime quality standards despite wartime demand increases. Intelligence gathering through prisoner interrogation revealed American soldier morale that reflected systematic attention to individual welfare rather than ideological motivation through political indoctrination. Personal mail delivery, recreational activities, rotation policies, and leave arrangements demonstrated institutional care for personnel that enabled sustained performance under combat stress. German soldiers fought through duty and camaraderie, while American soldiers received systematic support that maintained effectiveness through extended operations. The supply chain analysis conducted by Lieutenant Richter revealed mathematical impossibility of German logistics competing with American abundance on any sustainable basis. American ration production required agricultural capacity, transportation networks, manufacturing facilities, and distribution systems that operated without disruption despite supporting global military operations. German logistics struggled to maintain basic nutrition for forces operating within occupied European territory under continuous Allied bombing pressure. Quality control evidence recovered from American equipment demonstrated production standards that exceeded German military specifications despite mass manufacturing conditions. Standardized testing, statistical sampling, and systematic inspection created consistency across millions of individual ration packages that maintained nutrition and palatability regardless of manufacturing date or storage conditions. German quality control had been reduced to basic safety requirements as production demands exceeded inspection capacity. As October concluded with German forces maintaining defensive positions through individual courage rather than systematic support, the mathematical implications of American abundance were becoming undeniable to frontline personnel, who witnessed enemy capabilities that exceeded German understanding of industrial warfare possibilities. But the most devastating confrontation with American abundance awaited discovery during major offensive operations, where systematic advantages would prove decisive. November 8, 1943, 14:45 hours. Monte Battaglia, Italian Peninsula. The climactic confrontation between German resourcefulness and American abundance reached its devastating peak during Operation Shingle, when German counterattacks against expanding Allied beachheads encountered systematic resistance that demonstrated how chocolate and cigarettes represented broader industrial capacity that rendered individual courage statistically irrelevant in prolonged warfare. Muller's assault company advanced against American positions reinforced with materials that defied German assumptions about enemy logistics under combat conditions. Concrete fortifications, steel reinforcement, and engineering equipment reflected construction capacity that American forces applied to tactical problems with abundance that German forces couldn't achieve through improvisation or superior positioning. Democratic industrial power was reshaping battlefield geometry through systematic resource application. The chaos intensified when German forces overran American supply dumps and discovered abundance that challenged fundamental understanding of wartime resource allocation. Warehouse facilities contained months of ammunition reserves, replacement equipment exceeding German unit authorization, and food supplies that surpassed German corps-level logistics for individual American regiments. Mathematical abundance had replaced tactical expertise as the decisive factor in modern warfare. Captain James Morrison, commanding the 2nd Battalion's defense sector, coordinated resistance through communication networks that demonstrated technological advantages created by systematic production rather than individual innovation. American radio equipment operated reliably across extended ranges, while German communications degraded due to component failures that replacement parts couldn't remedy. Industrial capacity was enabling tactical coordination that German training doctrine couldn't overcome through superior planning or execution. The climactic moment came when Weber's interrogation of captured American personnel revealed systematic abundance that extended beyond military necessity to individual soldier welfare that democratic society prioritized despite wartime conditions. Private First Class Dorothy Chen described rotation policies, recreational facilities, medical care, and mail service that exceeded German officer privileges while being provided to enlisted personnel as routine entitlement rather than special consideration. Psychological breakdown accelerated when German soldiers realized that American abundance represented peacetime industrial capacity redirected toward military purposes rather than maximum wartime mobilization under emergency conditions. Chocolate production, cigarette manufacturing, and recreational equipment reflected civilian industries operating at normal capacity while supporting global military operations. German industry had been converted entirely to military production, yet couldn't match American military allocation, while Americans maintained civilian consumption. The tactical implications became catastrophic when German ammunition shortages constrained defensive operations, while American forces conducted sustained bombardments that exceeded German production capacity for entire sectors. Artillery support, air cover, and small arms ammunition reflected supply systems that operated without conservation, measures that limited German tactical options. Americans were fighting with abundance, while Germans rationed basic combat requirements. Technical Sergeant William Kowalski, operating forward supply operations with efficiency that reflected civilian logistics experience, demonstrated systematic methods that maintained frontline abundance despite transportation challenges that would have paralyzed German logistics. Standardized procedures, interchangeable equipment, and redundant supply routes created tactical flexibility that German forces couldn't achieve through traditional military efficiency or superior individual competence. The intelligence revelation reached crisis proportions when captured American documents revealed production statistics that made German resistance mathematically futile, regardless of tactical success or strategic innovation. American chocolate production alone exceeded German sugar allocation for all military and civilian consumption combined. Cigarette manufacturing surpassed German tobacco production by ratios that indicated agricultural and industrial capacity beyond European comprehension. Medical evidence from treating American prisoners revealed nutrition levels that reflected systematic attention to individual soldier welfare, rather than survival minimum standards that German forces had accepted as wartime necessity. Physical condition, dental health, and disease resistance indicated medical care and nutritional support that exceeded German peacetime civilian standards while being provided to frontline combat personnel under battlefield conditions. The climactic understanding emerged through mathematical analysis of captured American logistics documentation. Individual American soldiers consumed resources equivalent to small German towns, received equipment that exceeded German company authorization, and operated with support systems that surpassed German divisional logistics. Democratic abundance had transformed warfare from tactical contest into statistical inevitability, where individual heroism couldn't overcome systematic advantages. As winter approached, and German forces maintained positions through courage rather than supply adequacy, the devastating truth was becoming undeniable. They weren't fighting American soldiers. They were fighting American industrial capacity that rendered resistance futile. May 8, 1945. 20-30 hours. Allied Detention Center, Nuremberg. In the same German city where Nazi rallies had once proclaimed thousand-year Reich permanence, Müller sat with fellow Wehrmacht veterans in Allied custody, sharing American cigarettes and chocolate, while contemplating how systematic abundance had defeated German military excellence through mathematical inevitability rather than battlefield superiority. The final statistics were devastating in their mathematical finality. American soldiers had received 4,000 calories daily, while German forces subsisted on 2,400 calories when supplies permitted. The human cost of German resourcefulness versus American abundance became apparent through medical examinations that revealed systematic malnutrition among German prisoners, despite their reputation as Europe's finest soldiers. Average weight loss of 35 pounds per soldier reflected supply shortages that had undermined military effectiveness regardless of individual courage or tactical competence. American prisoners showed weight gain during equivalent captivity periods, demonstrating systematic nutrition that maintained fighting capability under any circumstances. Colonel Patricia Hayes, conducting debriefing interviews with German officers, presented comparative analysis that quantified the mathematical impossibility of German victory through resource allocation statistics. American chocolate production exceeded German total confection manufacturing by ratios of 12-1, while maintaining civilian consumption that surpassed German peacetime luxury availability. Industrial capacity had determined warfare outcomes through arithmetic rather than military strategy. Weber's final assessment revealed the systematic advantages that democratic abundance had provided American forces throughout the conflict. Superior nutrition enabled sustained operations. Abundant ammunition eliminated tactical constraints. Reliable communication equipment coordinated complex operations, and systematic medical care maintained personnel strength. German tactical excellence couldn't overcome American logistical superiority that operated without resource limitations that constrained Wehrmacht effectiveness. The personal tragedy became apparent through letters from home that described German civilian conditions during the war's final years. Muller's sister wrote about ersatz coffee made from roasted grain, while he had observed American soldiers discarding genuine coffee. Richter's wife described children who hadn't tasted chocolate since 1941, while American soldiers received Hershey bars as routine ration components. Democratic abundance had enabled humanitarian warfare that exceeded German civilian living standards. Technical analysis of American logistics revealed systematic efficiency that had maintained frontline abundance despite supporting global operations across multiple theaters simultaneously. Standardized procedures, interchangeable components, and redundant supply systems created tactical flexibility that German forces never achieved despite superior individual training and technological innovation. Mass production techniques had solved military supply challenges that traditional methods couldn't address under wartime conditions. The legacy extended beyond military defeat to fundamental reassessment of German society's relationship with individual welfare and systematic organization. American abundance had been achieved through voluntary cooperation rather than totalitarian control, demonstrating democratic advantages that Nazi ideology had dismissed as weakness. Systematic attention to individual soldier needs had created military effectiveness that coercive methods couldn't replicate through political indoctrination or ideological motivation. Post-war reconstruction would reflect lessons learned about systematic abundance versus individual resourcefulness in industrial society. German veterans who had witnessed American logistics capabilities became advocates for democratic governance and free market economics that enabled systematic abundance rather than resource allocation through administrative rationing. Chocolate and cigarettes had represented broader principles of societal organization that determined national capability under extended stress. The psychological transformation remained profound and permanent among German soldiers who had experienced American abundance through combat encounters and prisoner treatment. Personal testimony would influence German understanding of democratic society's advantages over totalitarian organization for decades following military defeat. Simple luxuries had demonstrated systematic superiority more effectively than political propaganda or ideological arguments about governmental systems. Quality of life comparisons revealed American systematic advantages that extended beyond military capability to societal values that prioritized individual welfare alongside collective objectives. Democratic abundance had enabled humanitarian treatment of enemy prisoners while maintaining superior military effectiveness through systematic resource allocation that totalitarian efficiency couldn't match through organizational control or ideological motivation. Follow our channel for more remarkable stories that reveal how systematic abundance and democratic values combine to achieve victory through mathematical certainty rather than battlefield heroics, demonstrating that industrial capacity and humanitarian principles create lasting advantages that reshape history. The symbolic legacy remained forever captured in Müller's final letter home. We were defeated not by American soldiers, but by American chocolate. They possessed abundance so systematic that individual enemy soldiers lived better than German officers, proving that democratic society creates mathematical advantages that render resistance futile when sustained warfare requires systematic resource allocation rather than individual courage or tactical excellence.